And that's why we have Jordan Solomon here today with us. He's a president and CEO of EcoStrat and chairman of BDO Zone initiative. BDO Zone, it's a special program which provides classification for SAF production readiness. But I think, Jordan, you will tell this and explain this better than me, because you know more than I do. And I pass virtual mic to you, and the floor is yours. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm the chairman of the BDO Zone Initiative, and I want to talk to you today. I want to share with you today an economic development instrument called a BDO Zone rating that is proven to be very, very effective in helping get SAF plants sited more quickly and to get capital raised for those plants more efficiently. So if you're an airport or an airport region that's looking to attract a plant that makes sustainable aviation fuel, then you should be aware of BDO zone ratings. BDO zone, and the reason we know that BDO zone ratings work is because within North America, for example, there are 61 BDO zones around the country, around the continent, actually. And in those, right now, today, in those 61 designated BDO zones, biofuel development opportunity zones, there's over $11 billion of capital being raised. Most of them are for companies making SAF. So let me repeat that. We know that BDO zones ratings work as a powerful economic development instrument to attract SAF plants to these biofuel development opportunity zones, because within North America, there are $11 billion worth of capital being raised for projects right now in BDO zones. So let me just start with that, because I think that's the most important point. On the next slide, you see we just to frame things up, we have a big issue with achievement of our SAF targets. And that is, to put it bluntly, that we can't get there using only fats, oils, and greases as the feedstock. We absolutely need biomass to get to 3 billion barrels. We need it. You can't get there without it. And BDO zones help achieve those SAF targets more efficiently. Let me explain really what a BDO zone is I'll give you a metaphor, because someone mentioned this once. It's like, you can drive across the continent. I mean, you can drive from Madrid to Moscow without a GPS, right? But it's going to take you a long time. You're going to get lost. You're going to use a lot of gas, and you're going to get tied up on the back roads, right? You could do it, but it's not efficient, is my point. And what BDO zone ratings are is they're like a GPS for project developers. They tell project developers exactly where the good places are that are able to support new SAF plants. That's what these ratings are. So it enables them to look at the country, to look at the continent, to look at the region in an area that allows them to quickly prioritize which areas are going to be the best areas for siting a new SAF plant. And so let me just start with that. And, again, tell you why we know it works. And we know it works. We know BDO zone ratings accelerate new market development because, again, there's $11 billion of capital being raised for projects in biofuel development opportunity zones right now. That's number one. Number two, in addition to that $11 billion of capital being raised right now, there's $30 billion of additional private investment in pipeline across 61 additional BDO zones. So of those $31 billion I'll tell you what that would mean, that $31 billion of additional private investment. That would be projects that have reached out to the economic development organization in each BDO zone with a proposition. It's a SAF plant that says, hey, I've seen you're a BDO zone. I'm interested in building a plant there, but they haven't got to the point of announcing the plant yet. That's what that $30 billion is. And so all those $30 billion worth of additional plants aren't going to be built. Some of them won't get to the point of a plant announcement, but some of them will. Some of them will. And so typically 20% of the BDO zones that are rated attract within 3 years a new project being minimum $850 million. So again, one can anticipate that 20% or an additional $6 billion of that 30 billion will turn into plant announcements. So I think that's the first point I want to make. We've got a proven economic development instrument that if you are looking to attract a SAF production to your region, to your airport, because your airport wants to put SAF in the planes, this is a way to get there. So I want to get into a bit more detail about what a biofuel development opportunity zone rating is, a BDO zone rating is. And what they are standards-based assessment of a region's suitability for a new biofuel, renewable chemical, or bioproduct project, say a new SAF plant. And what do? They're like bullseyes in the map, right? They send clear and powerful signals to SAF developers, in this case, around the world, that your region has been pre-vetted for many of the characteristics that are absolutely necessary to support a SAF plant. And I'll get into what those are in a second. But again, they're site location bullseyes for project development. They create connections between those rated regions and bioproject developers all around the world. And because of that, they catalyze new project development, new SAF development. So I hope that makes sense. In a little bit more detail, what these ratings do is once a region, like let's say after this seminar, you say, look, we're interested in getting a BDO zone rating because we're interested in attracting a SAF plant. The due diligence that your region would undergo would be very extensive. It would be your region would be pre-vetted or looked at through over 100 risk indicators. But in short, your region would be vetted for 3 things. We call them the 3 pillars of BDO zone ratings. Number 1, is there a feedstock surplus in the region? Is there enough biomass, enough wood, enough food waste, enough MSW, enough to support SAF production? Number 1, feedstock surplus. Number 2, supply chain strength. Are there farmers? Are there forestry companies? Is there trucking? Are there enough people and infrastructure to form a resilient supply chain that would supply a new SAF plant if a new SAF plant landed in the region? Number 2 is supply chain strength. Number 3 is sound infrastructure. Are there roads? Are there power? Is there workforce? Is there an off-taker, like an airport? In your case, there would be. Is there enough sound infrastructure to support an operating plant? So if the region rates high enough on feedstock surplus, supply chain strength, and sound infrastructure, then that region will get a BDO zone rating. And if it rates high enough, it'll get a AAA rating or a AA rating or an A rating or a triple B rating. Anything below a triple B rating is called a non-investment grade rating. Anything triple B or above is an investment grade rating. And investment grade BDO zone ratings are recognized by SAF developers all over the world as the best places in the world to put a new SAF plant, which is why if you're looking to attract a new SAF plant in your region, putting your region on the map by getting a BDO zone rating is a good way to get there. So I hope that makes sense. There's a reason that BDO zone ratings, AAA, AA, A, triple B, are recognized all over the world by project developers as the best places to build a new SAF plant. And that's because ratings are framed up by credible standards-based ratings framework. In the United States, they're framed up by U.S. Department of Energy standards. Those standards were created over 6 years by the U.S. Department of Energy, one of its national labs, Idaho National Labs, and a huge 65-member, $60 billion capital markets ratings committee made up of a number of the big international investment banks like Goldman Sachs and Citibank and a bunch of others. In Canada, those industry ratings have become a Canadian national standard as of March 2021, and ASTM accreditation within the US and globally is slated for Q4 2025. The point here is, the main takeaway is, ratings are issued within the framework of credible national standards, and that is what gives ratings the credibility, rated regions the credibility in the eyes of project developers all over the world. And that's what makes them so effective at attracting new projects. Again, speaking to credibility, in the United States, the Biden administration, the previous administration, came up with, in 2024, last year, a plan to enable the bioeconomy in America. You're looking at that plan on the screen right now. It was issued by the U.S. Department of Agriculture in March 2024. It was, I think what's important here is that on page 4, on page 27, on page 27, and on page 29, BDO zone ratings are referenced as one of the most effective tools to accelerate bio-based development. I should say that again. In the U.S. Department of Energy's National Plan to Accelerate the Bioeconomy in America, no tool is referenced more often than a BDO zone ratings to make that happen. Okay? And USDA Rural Development has directly funded over 50 rated regions over the past 3 years in the United States. The Canadian government has funded about 8 or 9 more within Canada. So there's been huge government recognition within North America of these tools. I should say this, there are right now no BDO zones in Europe. This is really the inaugural launch of pushing these ratings into the European Union. And we'll talk a little bit about how we're going to do that in a second. One of the things that's been stood up to actually make that happen was that in June 2025, we stood up the International Biomass Rating Agency, which is the world's first biomass rating agency. So all BDO zone ratings will, as of Q3 this year, be issued through IBRA, the International Biomass Rating Agency. So IBRA is designed to enable the rollout of BDO zone ratings throughout the EU and, in fact, globally. So I want to show you, just getting back to BDO zones, where biofuel development opportunity zones are located in North America. So you can see some of them around North America right now. This isn't all of them, but it's you get an idea. But they're located throughout the continent. And by the numbers, what we see is this, and I think this is a very important takeaway. There are 61 BDO zones across the North American continent today. As I mentioned at the beginning, within those 61 zones, there's $11 billion of capital being raised right now today for projects, right now. And the majority of those biomanufacturing projects are to produce SAF. If you look on the right of your screen here, you'll see that pipeline of an additional $30 billion of additional projects that have not been announced yet, but are currently in discussion in BDO zones. But I think what's the really most important takeaway of this slide is the bottom right, where it says 850 per rating. And why that's so important is I want you to those of you who are listening to this and are looking to attract a new SAF plant, I want you to think back over the past year and think back as to how many real discussions you've had with SAF project developers to develop projects in your region. And when I ask that question at conferences, I ask people to shout out the number. And the numbers typically are between 0, we've had no real serious projects discussions in the last year, to 10 would be a huge number. We've had 10 we've had 10 serious discussions with project developers that are looking to stand up biomanufacturing projects in our region in the last year. So the numbers tend to be 1 to 10. I want you to look at this figure of 850 per rating on the bottom right of your screen again. And what that means is that after a region obtains a BDO zone rating, 850 is the average number of downloads that a BDO zone rating for a region gets. I'm not talking about page views. These ratings are 60, 70 pages of technical due diligence on how suitable a particular region is for hosting SAF plants and other biofuels plants. You don't download a 60 or 70 page rating unless you're seriously interested in having a serious look at putting a project in that region. That happens 850 times per rating that has been issued. We know because we can track it. And it's that number of serious looks at a rating that shows how seriously rated regions are being looked at by project developers all around the world. And it's because of that 850 looks per rating on average that you get $11 billion of projects being raised for capital right now all around North America. And that's the opportunity that I think we have in the EU to do exactly the same thing. So hopefully that makes sense. I want to give you an idea of 2 rated regions that got ratings and now are looking and have received announcements of sustainable aviation fuels plants. One is in Canada and one is in the United States. The one you're looking at right now is in Vegreville, Alberta. Now, I'm sure none of you listening have heard of Vegreville, Alberta, but that's the whole point. Without a BDO zone rating, regions are lost to bio-based development. Why? Because the market's not magic and it doesn't work on information it doesn't have. And until Vegreville, Alberta obtained its BDO zone rating back on July the 21st, 2024, I believe it was. Yes, in the top right of your screen, you can see the issue rate of that rating. Vegreville got almost no attention from the international community of project developers. But all that changed after July 21st, 2024, when SAF issued the Vegreville, Alberta rating. And it was an A rating for wheat straw. And what happened after that rating is projects, the phone started ringing, as they always do. And about 3 months ago, Provectus Biofuel announced a SAF project in Vegreville, Alberta. The only reason that Provectus saw Vegreville, Alberta, even discovered Vegreville, Alberta, is because they were issued and they saw Vegreville's A rating, A BDO zone rating. Again, without a rating, these areas are lost to project development. A rating helps them get found. So again, you can find this rating and all the other BDO zone rated regions at bdozone.org, bdozone.org, and we'll put that in the chat here. You can download all the ratings, you can look at the technical ratings, and so can everybody else in the whole world. And that's one of the reasons that, again, these ratings are so effective in driving project development. You're looking at a rating now in Bonweir, Texas. And again, I'm sure nobody's heard of Bonweir, Texas. Bonweir happens to be in the middle of a very forested region in the northern part of the great state of Texas. And back in 2022, Bonweir obtained a AA rating, the very first AA rating in North America. In fact, it was rated for 2 million tons of woody biomass available for a project within 75 miles of Bonweir, Texas. Cut to today, USA Bioenergy has announced a SAF plant in, guess where? Bonweir, Texas. And Barclays Bank is raising over $2 billion right now using this BDO zone rating to get that plant built. That plant is going to be transformative to the region. There will be over I'm going to play a video in a couple of minutes, and you're going to hear the CEO, Nick Andrews of USA Bioenergy, talk about the job impacts of this plant. He'll talk about the over 1,000 jobs that are going to be created just for the construction of this plant, and the hundreds of jobs that are going to be created for the region on an ongoing basis every year thereafter. So these SAF plants are job creation engines, especially when you site them in rural regions. They're absolutely transformative for our rural regions. So I want to talk about the economic impact of these two projects that you just saw. You've seen the ratings, now you're looking at the economic impact. And this is the Provectus biofuels plant in that Alberta Vegreville BDO zone. Remember, that plant was rated for wheat straw, 450,000 tons. But look at the investment. That's an $845 million plant. And if we have the pointer there, if we can just draw our audience's attention to the important parts of these slides. It's an $845 million investment. Look, 100 permanent jobs, 400 to 500 construction jobs over a 2-year period, 165,000 tons of a year of local wheat straw residue. That contributes to on-farm stability. When the wheat prices go down, the farmers can still sell the wheat straw. We've got massive benefits, economic benefits, tens of $millions in local contract opportunities. Again, new revenue stream for farmers, et cetera, et cetera. So this, remember, was an industry-supported project. This was supported by SAF, which is the name of the Canadian Sustainable Aviation Fuels Association, the industry association for CSAF. CSAF got the money and provided the money to pay for this BDO zone rating for Vegreville, Alberta. Within less than 1 year, they've got an $845 million plant announcement. Do you think that was money well spent? On the bottom right of your screen, you'll see Bob Bespalko. Bob Bespalko is the executive director of what's called the Alberta Hub. The Alberta Hub is the local economic development organization that's wanted to attract a plant. And you can't read that, but I want to read it for you. It says, and this is a quote from Bob, before the BDO zone rating, interest was minimal. Once our rating was published, it de-risked feedstock potential, and interest surged. Provectus Biofuels and 3 other companies reached out. The A rating validated our region with Vegreville at the epicenter and spotlighted the Alberta Hub region as a prime destination for investment. I want to read you the quote that's underneath it. It's from Jean-Jacques. Jean-Jacques is the CEO of Provectus Biofuels. Here's a quote from the CEO of the plant that just announced in the Vegreville BDO zone. The BDO zone rating definitely impacted our decision to look at Vegreville. I got excited about the 455,000 tons of excess wheat straw, an insurable, bankable supply available for decades. Vegreville will be the first hub, but in 10 years, we predict 40 or 50 BDO zones acting as spokes that draw us, new projects he means, into them. So there you go. It's we're talking about case studies here. I want to dig in a bit deeper to the case study of the USA bioenergy plant in Bonwire, Texas. That was the second BDO zone rating that I showed a couple of minutes ago. So again, this is USA Bioenergy Project. It's called officially, if you're looking it up online, the Texas Renewable Fuels Biorefinery. That's over a $2 billion investment. It's looking today like it's a $2.8 billion investment. Again, Barclays is doing that raise right now. This is a big plant. It's 1,000 construction jobs for almost 3 years, 200 permanent jobs, 1,000 indirect forestry jobs, right? They just executed an offtake agreement for over 2 million tons with Louisiana Pacific, which is one of the biggest forestry companies in that part of North America. The economic benefits are enormous. And I'm not going to run you to this because you're going to hear Nick, the CEO, talk about it in a second. And because of that, I'm not going to read you the quote that you're going to see on the right. But look, the impact is massive. He's not going to talk about the carbon sequestration impact. So I want you to read it. You can see it on the bottom part of your screen. This plant is going to capture and sequester 50 million metric tons of CO2 each and every year. Massive, massive CO2 impact. But, and you can also Google this if you type this into your Google machine. If you look at offtake, just almost to just above where you're looking right now, where it says offtake, USA Bioenergy executed about 6 months ago, this will be interesting to you as airlines, a 20-year offtake agreement for Southwest Airlines for 680 million gallons of SAF. So this plant is real. This plant is executing offtake agreements. This plant has executed purchase agreements. This plant is raising capital right now, and this plant is in a BDO zone. So you've seen, we've dug in very deeply into two. There are over 61 BDO zones in North America. I want to give you some other smaller case studies. On the next slide, these quotes, I'm not going to read you all of them, but I want you to read them because they're important. I'll read you one of them. BDO zone ratings have immediate measurable impact. Communities that get BDO zone ratings, regions that obtain ratings, get the phones immediately start to ring with inbound calls from project developers. And those inbound calls, sometimes, not all the time, aid in landing a project. This first quote is from you may not have heard of Falls City Edge. Falls City Edge is the local economic development organization for Falls City, Nebraska, one of the US states, of course. Falls City just announced a $5 billion biopolypropylene plant by Citronite Chemicals in their BDO zone. So massive, massive plant development in big benefit for Falls City. Here's Chad Schreck from Northern Iowa Corridor. You're going to see him in the video I'm going to play in a second. They've got 5 projects in which they're in discussions right now, totaling more than $1 billion of project investment at 5 to 20 jobs apiece. Big importance. And the last one, this is the president of DG Fuels, Mike Darcy. This is a SAF facility in a BDO zone in Louisiana. This facility is expected to have a $55 billion economic impact on the state of Louisiana over the next 30 years. The U.S. government has given this DG Fuels plant a loan guarantee for several $1 billion to get their plant built. Again, these are 4 quotes. If upon request, we have a little booklet of, I believe there are 25 testimonials and letters from places around North America that have got BDO zone ratings, and you can read what they say. And if you'd like that, just reach out to me after this rating, and I'll make sure that you get these testimonials. But rather than read, sometimes it's better to listen. And I'd like you to listen to this video. It's only about 2.5 minutes, but it's 2.5 minutes full of people that got BDO zone ratings, economic development organizations that got BDO zone ratings, and now they have a plan, or now they're talking to potential projects. And then what it ends with is companies like USA Bioenergy that are building plants in BDO zones right now, and they talk about the economic impact. So listen to this. I think it really helps drive the whole point home, and then we'll break for 15 minutes of questions if there are any. Let's roll this film. Oop. I'm not seeing any video, but let's see if we can't remedy that in a second. Okay. What I want to do is don't do it. I'm going to fix that. Alex, hold on for a second. Oh, there we go. Okay, thank you.
We had one paper mill shut down, and that crippled the pulp market out here.
We're a rural community with a lot of smaller towns who are just decimated as automation and increased efficiencies just shuttered the workforce.
I have had a number of companies, upwards of 20, that have contacted me simply because they found us on the BDO zone.
We're a community, a county of about 45,000. As soon as our rating went out and we started getting calls,
we immediately began to receive calls from across the U.S.
Yeah, so we wouldn't be approaching phase one on a multi-million-dollar project if it weren't for EcoStrat's BDO zone.
Approximately a $5 million investment up to a regional facility, which is a $25 million or more investment into our community.
We were able to land all four. The construction phase alone for the four of them total would be about $1 billion.
Our goal is to develop a series of advanced fuels facilities to build 12. And so we constantly are eager to see what's happening with the BDOZ. What's the new site coming online?
Yeah, BDO zone rating definitely impacted our decision to look into Vegreville. Each one of these biorefineries will have about 100-ish jobs for the construction side of things, probably 400 to 500 over a 2-year period. Literally be tens of millions of dollars locally.
1,000 people are going to be working on the construction side for the first 2 to 3 years. Permanent jobs we're anticipating are 200.
Probably see 1,000 people directly employed on site during the 2-year construction cycle. Somewhere around 125 permanent full-time jobs. Extends that to about 1,000 indirect jobs.
But I believe we're going to generate over $500 million in revenue to the local taxing district over the first 20 years of operation. This county is one of the lowest per capita income counties in the entire state of Texas. The impact that's going to have on the schools, everybody who lives there.
It's exciting to be able to go out to these small communities with realistic opportunities that they would have never seen before, directly as a result of the BDO.
When these facilities are brought into a lot of these rural areas, those are high impact jobs, and they give those communities an opportunity for their young people to stay at home.
So I want to wrap up here in a nutshell. What I've been briefing you on for the last 42 minutes is a powerful economic development and project finance tool that can help you attract a SAF plant. If you're an airport, you're looking to fill your jets with more SAF, you need a plant. In order to do that, you need you need deal flow. You need credible ways of attracting SAF project development. This is a powerful tool that's proven to, number one, pre-vet, quantify and signal what's important to SAF developers, which are key regional biomass feedstock and infrastructure success characteristics. You need a credible way of being connected with bioproject developers and investors all around the world. You need to be linked with private capital. I didn't mention it, but that Goldman Sachs and Citibank, they've announced, and if you look into the BDO Zone Investment Coalition, you'll see an announcement of $1 billion of capital to fund projects located in biofuel development opportunity zones. And the bottom line is that it really helps, these ratings help drive new project bio-based manufacturing to the regions that have these ratings and are able to support new SAF development. So please, if you want to learn more, you can reach out to me at this email or Aaron Garswood at this email. You can download all ratings at bdozone.org. You can download letters of support. You're going to get this presentation afterwards at the punch out here. You can look at the BDO Zone project manufacturings if you click there. And if you're looking for how to get going, if you're really interested in a BDO Zone rating, I would start here, right? Download the quick guide. I want to conclude just with one thing. Because BDO Zone ratings are so well established in North America, but just moving into the EU, ratings we're offering to do the first rating as a European case study at no cost. Ratings are typically well into the 6 figures. For if there is listening to this particular podcast or session a region that is interested in a BDO zone rating, and if it looks like you will rate investment grade, then IBRA will carry out and issue that rating for you at no cost. IBRA has an interest in doing, again, the first European case study of a BDO zone rating. So keep that in mind, and I'm looking forward to the discussion. Thank you.